Jose Ramirez.
I'm Bob Arum.
Hi, I'm Robert Garcia, and I'm with the Fighter's Voice.
The only radio show knocking out the competition. Fighter's Voice Radio Show.
Fresno, California. We're live here, Mad Productions Studios. We have a great show for you tonight. Today, we have with us live in the bubble from the MGM Grand. Ladies and gentlemen, he's in charge of fighter talent relations for Top Rank Boxing. The legendary, the one, the only, the outspoken, the living legend himself. If it wasn't for his position, he'd be in the ring kicking a lot of ass. And tonight, he's going to expose a lot of ass only on the Fighter's Voice. That's Mr. Frank Stea. How we doing, my man? Stea. I got to make sure I get your name right before you kick my ass, Frank.
Nah, Rich, you're the fucking man, bro. You're insane. I thought I was insane, bro. That was an insane introduction.
Oh, man.
I'm telling you, bro.
Hey, I call it the way I see it. What's that, my man?
It's pronounced any way you want to pronounce it, bro. I've heard so many. You were close, though.
Okay, okay, let me ask you this, only on the Fighter's Voice. How does your mama say it? Because I'm going to say it just like the way she does.
Well, my mom, the thing is, I'm a bastard child, so my mom and dad never got married. So my mom never had my father's last name. I just got my dad's last name. So it was I don't know how my mom pronounced it. I don't think I've ever heard her say it, but it's pronounced Stea.
Stea.
Stea, like
Stea.
Like stay away, or
like stay away.
Stay, yeah, or stay around. Or,
like stay away before I kick your ass, right?
Well, I don't know about all that. I don't kick nobody's ass. I might talk a lot of shit, but I don't kick any ass. Those days are far from over.
Oh, hey, man.
We're not far from over. Those days are long gone, man. Long gone.
Hey, man, it's still in you. I know you still got some rounds in you, man. But, you know what, let's talk about the fighters that exist today for Top Rank Boxing. They got plenty of rounds in them. And, you know what? Phone calls were coming off the hook today. I mean, this was the most asked question, man. What did you think about that war with Cepeda, man, Jose?
My goodness. You know what? I don't think, like, a lot of people had said to me, imagine if there was a crowd. I don't think if there was a crowd, like, it would have happened the way it did. And I mean, credit to those two fighters and credit to all the fighters that have fought in the bubble. And I think this is our 14th week doing bubble fights and fight weeks and stuff. It's not our 14th event. We were doing 2 a week in the first series. So this is like, I think this is our 21st bubble event. And every fighter that stepped in and put on a show, I give them credit. But obviously, the fight of the year, hands down, goes to Jose Cepeda and Ivan Baranchek,
yeah.
Fuck, what a fight, bro. Like, what a fight. 4 knockdowns apiece recorded in that. I mean, these guys were friggin' slugging. It wasn't what we expected. We expected Baranchek the pressure and keep them. You know, obviously Jose is a good mover, and he didn't move much except for his friggin' fist. And my goodness, I mean, I hate to say this because you get a lot of detractors, but that could possibly be probably the best action fight of all time. You know what I'm saying? It's a little early to start giving it that, but I mean, goodness gracious, if you're not a boxing fan and you tune into that this past Saturday, you're a boxing fan. So, you know, credit to both of those warriors. Thank God they're both okay. You know, maybe a concussion or some bumps and bruises, but you know, both guys will be back at the highest level soon enough.
You know, and I agree with you, man. And you know what, right away, I got a question coming in from Hall of Famer, man, Lee Samuels. He's listening, and he's asking, what fight would you compare that to? Is there any fight you can compare that war to that just took place?
You can compare that. I would say Rich and Lee. Lee is absolutely a legend, the nicest guy, the best to ever do it as far as PR. I got to give Lee Samuels a shout out. He's done a lot for me in my career at Top Rank, and I learned a lot from him. But yeah, other than that, like, I mean, you could say Gotti Ward, but Gotti Ward didn't have the finish that this fight had. You could say something similar to Corrales and Castillo won. It somewhat had that kind of finish, but I think what did it in here is how brutal the finish was. I mean, you got possibly the knockout of the year in that fight, and the round of the year. Definitely, it's the fight of the year. So I mean, and you want me to be honest with you, Rich?
I want you to be completely honest, my man.
I don't even, as much as like I'm sarcastic and I like to talk shit and joke around, I don't like fights like that, to be honest with you, man, because this is the soft side coming. I get close with these fighters, especially when they come into the bubble. A lot of these younger fighters, I don't even want to know who they're fighting. I meet them for the first time, and I don't want to say, oh, you're fighting this guy or that guy. I just go in there and try to develop a relationship with each guy in their own certain way. And the last thing I ever want to do is see one of these guys get hurt. I've known Jose Zepeda since 2014, and the whole team have always made me feel welcome into their team. And, you know, his brother Rene, Jose, I consider them friends. I've been friends with them for about 6 years. A manager, Steve Reimer, Arturo, another member of their team. They got a great team, and I didn't want to see neither one get hurt. And then also Baranchek, who, you know, I got to spend a little bit of time while he was in the bubble before the fight, and a sensational guy. And I hate to see those guys get hurt or put in a position where, you know, it's taken, I don't know, days or months or whatever off their lives, bro. So it's like, that's the one thing. I mean, look, I signed up to be in this business, so obviously that's a risk. And for the fighters that have signed up to be in this business, we've seen guys die, Rich. We've seen guys that, you know, that was the last time that before they went to the ring, whoever they spoke to and that was the last time they ever said anything to anyone. So they know the risk, we know the risk, but, you know, being in this business, I don't want to see these guys get hurt. These are my peers, these are my acquaintances, these are my coworkers. And at the end of the day, I want to see everybody. I want them to go out and compete and may the best man win, but I want to see each and every one of these guys go home to their families.
I agree with you 100%, and also I can concur with you, because when you interview two fighters that are going head-to-head, and then you see them around their families, and then you see them smile, and you see a different side to them, not just the animal inside the ring, but the human side of them, and then you notice that one has to go home defeated, not just heartbroken because of the defeat, but sometimes physically. So I could understand exactly how it does become personal for you, Frank. But you know what? If you were to ask me, which you didn't, which fight I would compare it to, I would probably say George Foreman and Ron Lyle, or do you remember Burt Cooper and Michael Moore?
I've seen those fights, obviously, Rich, but I've seen them, you know, recorded. I've seen them either on DVD or VHS or whatnot. A lot of them I've seen recently. To be honest with you, I only know. I mean, I know the history of boxing, but during my tenure in the sport, I go more modern. I go more. I'd say like really when I became a big fan was like I would say like the late '90s. I was a fan. Before that, I was casual. My family would watch Mike Tyson and Julio Cesar Chavez fight on pay-per-view or whatnot. But for me, I guess I was a little too young to really appreciate it then. But I would say like the late '90s, guys like Prince Nassim Hamed, Lennox Lewis. To me, those were polarizing characters. I enjoyed those guys very much. So I kind of date everything from my experience in boxing as a fan. I don't want to go back and say, yeah, it was once in a while. I remember this. I remember that.
Yeah.
I didn't really become a student of the game. And I mean, I don't want to go as far as say I'm an expert in the game, but I know more than your average boxing enthusiast.
Well, you're very well respected in the boxing game. You're very well respected, so just know that.
Oh, and I appreciate that, bro. And there's a lot more people that know the history. There's a lot more people that can tell you this guy and that guy that fought. Yeah. Like you just mentioned, Burt Cooper. I mean, I'd be lying to you if I said I sat here and I watched every single one of his fights, and I would, I lied. There's certain things I remember, and George Foreman and Ron Lyle, you can give it that. I've seen that. It was a brutal fight. It was an exciting fight. But for me, those guys, they can't compare to the development of today's fighters. As good as they were then, I guess you could say there were plenty more all-time greats in the 70s, 80s, and 90s as compared to today. But I'd like to think that today's guys, because of the advancements in nutrition and training techniques and just athleticism in general, that if you put a guy that there's a lot of critics that'll go out and really severely criticize a certain individual, but I would bet that if you put that guy in with some of those guys of the past, he would do quite well.
Absolutely.
And a lot of old timers will be like, oh, they can't deal with Marvin Hagler and this and that. Listen, man, I don't know Marvin Hagler. Great fighter, but that wasn't my time in boxing. That was the older guys' time in boxing.
Yeah.
Guys that were in my position back then. In my position now, bro, it's the guys that are fighting. It's Jose Zepeda. It's Ivan Baranchek. It's Emmanuel Navarrete. It's Ruben Villa. Guys that are fighting now.
Yeah.
They're the guys that I hold them standards to as great fighters.
No, well, very well said, man. And not to get off subject, man, then you could also talk about, hey, Dr. J, Michael Jordan, and then Kobe Bryant, and then all the youngsters, they want to say LeBron James. But, I'll always, Michael Jordan's the best basketball player ever. If you ever think of anything close to him, respectively, I would say Kobe Bryant, and then I would say LeBron. That's just me. I put it out there. But I understand what you're talking about exactly. I mean, today's athletes are they're phenomenal. They're able to get away with things that the normal fighter couldn't get away with. And I'm talking about leaving their hand down, which is a boxing sin. But when you got the attributes and tenacity and athletic ability like the Roy Joneses that are able to get away with it and use it to their advantage, then you would never be able to do it back in the day, is what I'm saying. So I understand exactly what you're talking about, my man.
I appreciate that, Rich. It's like this. You could say Michael Jordan's my era. The 90s NBA is the most exciting, I think, ever. I mean, but that's my era.
Yeah.
That's where I invested my time in, and I was, invested my emotions into it and got real behind it. I mean, shit, I still buy 90s throwback NBA jerseys. Like, you'll see me if you ever get out to any fights in the summertime, I'm going to be rocking an old school champion jersey from one of these guys from the 90s, because that was my shit. Today, yeah, of course, I think Jordan's the best. You know what I'm saying? I think he's the best. I think Kobe and LeBron, whatever one you want to put and say is the closest to him, I'll agree with you 100%. Those are two excellent and complete players. But, Michael Jordan, to me, is the NBA.
I agree with you 100%. Class act. So, you know what? So, since Michael Jordan is NBA, okay, you think about NBA, and a lot of people can say Kobe, and et cetera. Who is the face of boxing for Top Rank? If we had to go to Top Rank and said, okay, I need somebody, I got to put him on a billboard, who can we put? And out of what five, Frank, would you say to pick from, that we should pick from? What five?
So we have a lot of marketable fighters. We have a lot of fighters that have that ability, and I mean, obviously I got to throw Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is the heavyweight champion of the world. Yep. He's undefeated, lineal heavyweight champion of the world. He's charismatic. He knows how to talk. He's had his time in the WWE. He's been on television shows. He's had a reality show in the UK. He's super duper well known. Now, eventually, he's no longer going to be. I got to say, he's the biggest star right now in Top Rank. I could say hands down. But,
okay.
We got a big fight. We got a big fight in a week and a half here in the bubble in Las Vegas. Vasily Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez. Vasily Lomachenko is another fantastic fighter, Hall of Fame fighter. But, if Teofimo Lopez goes in there and does what he's been doing, and he dethrones the king or the supposed king, or make this bout, the winner of this bout will be one king of the lightweight division, that's a guy you could throw on a billboard anywhere. You could put him on there now, but I think if he beats Lomachenko, which there's a very good chance that he does on October 17th, you could put that guy anywhere on anything, and he'll deliver. And people just gravitate to him. So, we have stars like that. We have young fighters coming up. I mean, we got such a crop of young fighters. Someone you know very well, Rich, Gabriel Flores Jr. I mean, this kid is on the, on the cusp of superstardom, bro. Like, him and his dad, they got their own style that, I think once you get to a point in your boxing career where you're winning and you have world titles, people are going to notice that. Whether they love or hate it, they're going to purchase whatever you're selling. And I think those guys are going to sell, Gabriel Jr., he's going to sell a lot. There's Edgar Berlanga. I'm going to miss a lot of guys, Rich, and I don't want to miss out on a lot of guys. But there's Edgar Berlanga, all first-round knockouts. There's so many. There's Terrence Crawford, one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. We have a whole bunch, but if I had to pick one right now to put there as the face of Top Rank, Tyson Fury, hands down.
There you go. You answered that and then some, man. I appreciate that. Hey, you know what? If Lomachenko gets defeated by, this guy is going to own Brooklyn, and you know what I'm talking about, Teofimo. If you had $1 right now, man, and you kind of hinted who you were going with and why, but I want to know why. Who's going to win this fight and why? And this question, again, is coming from Lee Samuel.
Lee knows the answer to this. Look, Lomachenko has been a staple for Top Rank since he signed with us in 2013. The guy fought for a world title in his second fight. He came up short to the great Orlando Salido, but in his second fight, he defeated Gary Russell Jr. His third fight, he defeated Gary Russell Jr. And became world champion. And I guess that's the shortest amount of time. But this is a guy that wanted to do it in his pro debut. He wanted to fight for a world title in his pro debut. Bob Arum wouldn't allow him to do it. And I just want to give props to Vasily Lomachenko, right? And I kind of, as when we were at the topic before this, you go into the past. So many times you go into the past, there's some great fighters, but eventually that great fighter has to pass the torch. Or there's another younger, hungrier, better fighter that just snatches the torch from that formerly great fighter, or still great fighter. And I think it's about time, for that pass to be torched. That torch to be passed.
You probably had it right.
Whether Loma is willing to do it or not, I think that kid from Brooklyn is coming in on October 17th, and he's going to snatch it right from him by all means necessary. And that's it. And it's just because I'm close with Teofimo on a personal level, and it's no secret. The company knows. Even though they frown upon us sometimes getting close with fighters and stuff like that, it's just sometimes you can't choose your family. You know what I'm saying, man? Yeah. It's like you're born to your mother and your father, and they're your mother and father forever. But as you go along in life, you meet people that aren't blood, and they become family, and you don't choose them. It's just God puts you in that situation.
That's right.
And that's what it is. And Teofimo's my little brother, and I hate to admit it here because it's a little unprofessional of me to do so, but yeah, I'm rooting for him. And then I said it like this. I said it on my story on Instagram that I'm not holding nothing back, bro. I'm exposing it all.
No, exactly, and I'd rather keep you that way. And since I have you that way, my man, I got to ask you this, man. Okay, we know who we would put on the milk carton or the billboard. Who is the next rising star for Top Rank Boxing? Who can you invest in and say, this cat right here is going to be the face of Top Rank? He has a potential being a superstar.
Man, Rich. Oof. There's a lot, bro.
You got Shakur, right?
We're in good hands. We're in good hands.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, I love our heavyweight division. We got the most stacked and talented heavyweight division in boxing. And I think that some of the most attractive matchups in the future are with our young up-and-coming heavyweights. We have Efe Ajagba, who's a friggin' monster. He's in the mix. We have Guido Vianello, who was in a fight with Kingsley EBay this past weekend, and he had to settle for a draw. He was drugged through in a dogfight with a guy that's coming to spoil plans as he's doing.
Yeah.
So it's him. There's Sonny Conto out of my hometown of South Philadelphia. Got high hopes for him. A ton of marketability. And then there's another one who I've invested a lot is Jared Anderson, man. I mean, this kid brings everything. He brings excitement. He's the total package to me, man. And he's 20 years old. He's got the youth on his side. I mean, Rich, I hate to just say, one guy because there's so many of these young fighters out there, man. There's so many, and I don't want to point them because guess what? One of these guys can fuck their shit up, man. I can sit here and say,
yeah, that's
true. Edgar Berlanga, all first round knockout, marketable as hell, man. Just superstar written all over him. But guess what, man? Who knows? He can develop a crack addiction. I don't know. No, and I don't wish that on nobody.
Yeah.
Edgar, if you're listening, I love you, bro. But you know what I'm saying? I'm just using that as an example, bro. It's not. None of this stuff is guaranteed. I wouldn't bet. I'm not a betting man. Maybe I'll bet push-ups, but I'll never bet money or anything, or I'll never bet anything else like that. But as far as these guys, only time will tell. As dedicated as they stay to their craft, and if they really want it and they just constantly get better and ride the momentum that they create, then yeah, it'll be there. But look at our roster, bro. There's so many fucking talented guys on that roster, and I'm excited. I'm going to pull up that roster, and if you want, I'll just read 80 names of who's that. But I don't know if we got time to do all that.
You could actually close your eyes and just put a finger on one of them, man. And I mean, you guys invest really well, and you guys got that eye for talent. Now, you said you don't bet money, but if you had to bet some push-ups, man, who are we going to bet these push-ups on? Is it going to be Jose Ramirez or Josh Taylor?
Look, I've been working with Jose Ramirez since his pro debut, and I think Jose is the top fighter at 140 pounds. But Josh Taylor, if they're not neck and neck, dead even at that top spot, my goodness, he's a fucking cunt hair close to what's his name at number 2. So we're that's a tough fight, man. Legitimately, that's a 50-50 fight. Josh Taylor is a fucking dog. Jose Ramirez is a dog. It's whoever hurts the other guy. It's not a chess match, bro. You're going to get, brutality in that fight. Jose, I think, is the best body puncher in the game. But then you got Josh Taylor, who's sneaky, bro. He's got some sneaky counter punching. And, another guy, you see this last fight, bro. He pushed the guy into the ropes. The guy bounced back, body shot.
Yeah.
Finito. That's a great fight. But guess what? 140 right now, super lightweight division, is the best division in boxing right now. I mean, if you asked me this 6 months ago, I'd say the heavyweight division. But the way these guys are just coming out of the woodwork, and just so much talent at 140. I mean, you saw Zepeda and fucking Baranchek this past weekend. You got a big one next week. Arnold Barboza and Alex Saucedo. I mean, there is so much heat, so much fire right now at 140.
You know what? I agree with you. And then I believe it was official. Bud Crawford against oh my gosh, just lost his name right now. Brooks.
Who is it?
Cal Brooks, I believe. Bud Crawford.
Oh yeah, he's fighting. Yeah. He's fighting. I mean, I don't know if it's officially announced, but I don't think it's. If it is, and it's a secret. It's supposed to be a secret. It's boxing's worst kept secret. But yeah, they're supposed to fight each other. Yeah, they're supposed to fight each other. I think it's on BoxRec anyway, so I don't think I'm spoiling anything. But yeah, November 14th, they're supposed to fight. I don't really have a date. I mean, I don't really have a location. They're deciding if it's going to be in Las Vegas in the bubble or Omaha, and they're going to create a bubble there. So I'm just waiting on the word where they make the announcement. Yeah. I think they're going to make your boy Evan Korn is going to make that announcement real soon.
Yeah, Evan's right in the middle of all the heat and all the negotiations, and he gets all the secrets. And I would love to be in one of his meetings, man, hiding in his briefcase or something, man. I'm gonna have to bug it next time. But I'll tell you this, man. I mean, this Friday we got some action. We got some heat coming, man. I mean, you're talking about Drac from Salinas, man, another prodigy that Rick Morrigan is investing in and he's fighting for the vacated WBO bantamweight. I'm sorry, featherweight title. Let's talk about the undercard on that. I mean, you have, some fire, man. I mean, you got Madera's own Brian Lua, who's not being handed anything nice. I mean, the guy he's fighting, this Puerto Rican guy, has 3 losses, but, his losses are to, like, Roy Jones's nephew and Felix Trinidad's brother's sister. And, what I'm saying is these are some tough losses, man, and these are the future of boxing. What's your whole take on the bubble and how it's true, and giving the opportunity to these young fighters that would not normally be on TV to now be on TV?
I mean, look, if you've seen Brian Lua's last fight, which was, obviously was a real fast destruction, and you want to see him back in the ring. And then guess what? If his opponent Nelson Colon is going to give him a challenge, that's good. That's what we want to see. You know, Top Rank is the best with developing young fighters and fighters in general, making world champions for over 50 years. This is what he needs, bro. The Nevada State Athletic Commission doesn't give us any gimmies, bro. There's no gimmies, bro. Every fight on paper has to make sense and has to be close to a 50-50 fight. And as you can see, like Brian Lua, you got Elvis Rodriguez, who's another guy, 9-0 with 9 first-round knockouts. Another guy just clobbering everybody. We got Lorenzo Simpson, a talented prospect out of Baltimore, Maryland, fight another undefeated guy coming in from Miami. Joseph Adorno, who has a new opponent now that Avery Sparrow pulled out, but his new opponent is supposedly tougher than the original opponent. It's a friggin', you're right, it's a friggin' sick undercard. But for Brian Lua to get on television to show the world how exciting he is, you know, he suffered, he had a couple injuries, I believe. He spent a lot of time out of the ring. And he watched a lot of guys that he had some success against in the amateurs, you know, rise to superstardom. So he's hungry, bro. He's playing catch up, but I think with this activity where he fought, I think 3 weeks ago, with this type of activity, he's going to catch up to all these guys real fast, and he's another prospect to look out for. You know, give him some time, man. Give him some time to go out there and show the world what he's got. And I think 2021, a lot of people are going to be having Brian Lua as one of their top prospects in the game.
Well, he's definitely going to be tested this Friday because it's not going to be anything nice. But both fighters, I know it's scheduled for 6 rounds as opposed to his last fight for 4 rounds. But he's not getting any gifts at all. So I will tell you that. And, you know, this is the boxing business. So, hey, strap up, man, and take that opportunity that's given to you. I want to talk to you about some fighters. It's a different network, man, but you're still a boxing fanatic. You're a fan, and you know talent, man. Can we expect this fight to live up to all the hype? Is anybody going to miss weight? Will it go the distance? And I'm talking about Tank Davis and Santa Cruz, Leo Santa Cruz.
I don't know. I mean, the fight's been on the docket for a while now, so there's no excuse for Gervonta Tank Davis to not put in a proper training camp and make weight for this fight.
And they actually pushed back the date, so that'll give him some more time to stay on that diet and that plan.
I mean, look, it's a great fight. It's a tough fight. It's a 50-50 fight. I think, you know, we can see Leo Santa Cruz and the freight train that is Tank Davis. Yeah. Or I think Tank Davis has the capability of knocking out Leo Santa Cruz and being the first person to do so. So it's a tough fight. I'm looking forward to it. I'm actually a fan of both fighters. Let's just hope everything gets there. I mean, let's just hope the fight actually happens. Let's hope Tank makes weight. Let's hope this turns into a sensational fight. I think the winner of this is in store for a bright future, man. Like, there's some big fights at 130 all around for these guys. So 130 is another hot division. I
agree. 130, 135s. I mean, it's fire. All the way up from 130s all the way up to 147s, man. I mean, the little gap we got is at 154s, then you jump into 160s, but you know what? There's nothing given to any of these fighters. I mean, to live in this era right now is probably the toughest era in the history of boxing, besides the Fabulous Four with Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, Roberto Duran, and Tommy Hitman Hearns. But right now, we have a lot of potential superstars. We do have some superstars, and it's just a matter of settling down and getting together with these networks, these promoters, and these fighters, and giving the fans, the followers, and everybody what they want. Better sooner than later.
Absolutely.
And that's why I agree, and I am so happy with Top Rank that they're making this fight now, today, as opposed to waiting. Now talking about, again, I want to talk about Teofimo Lopez and Lomachenko, man. That's going to be an exciting fight.
1,000,000% it is, dude. Look, everybody I talk, a lot of people come up to me and say, hey, your boy's fighting. How's he, do you think he's going to win? And I'm like, of course. I don't want to think any other way, man. You can't think any other way. But
yeah.
Listen, I'd be lying to you if a lot of people, especially fighters and trainers, if they're not picking Lomachenko to win. And I mean, look, it's okay. That's their opinion. And some guys they might see something that I don't see. You know what I mean? I could be looking blindly at certain things. But I'm not, I know what's at stake in this fight. Teofimo and his dad have been asking for this fight since they came to Top Rank.
Yeah.
First thing, before they even had their pro debut, they're like, we would beat Lomachenko now. I don't know if that was the case then, but everything that both of them had said, especially Junior Lopez's father, has come here. So, I mean, look, we're going to find out, man. I told the kid last week, I'm not nervous for him. I know, and he's not nervous. He's confident.
Yeah.
He's strong.
Excited.
He's having a great camp.
Yeah, he's excited.
He's having a great camp, and from what I hear, so is Lomachenko. I hear he's having a good camp as well. So, look, it's going to be a good fight, man. I think boxing benefits more from the younger fighter Teofimo Lopez to come out victorious in this fight.
Hey, man,
I really do.
Hey, I understand. I know exactly where you're coming from. This next question, it's coming from Eric Hernandez, man, dog boxer. He said, thanks for rocking the gear. I appreciate the shout-outs that you continue to, rock and support the gear. And he said, are you looking forward to finally having a small crowd there inside of the bubble for the Lomachenko fight?
I think so. It's I don't know. Honestly, I know they're planning a lot of stuff, and because I'm so busy in my own little part of the bubble that
right.
I don't really get what they're I'm hearing some stuff like people who have underlying conditions can't go in there. They're only giving it to a certain type of people, and I don't know. I don't get it. I get it, but it's going to be something different. And that's for sure. It's 100% it's going to be something different. And it's our new reality. And if all goes well and no one gets hurt and, we maybe the governor in Nevada and some other states, maybe they start expanding the crowd size. So we're allowed 250, I think, for the 17th. I think that's the number.
Yeah.
And, hopefully it gets back to normal. Hopefully people feel safe and comfortable enough to come back out to fight. I know I would. I would really like to see a lot of my peers who show up to boxing events. I do. I miss a lot of that. But, only time will tell, man. This has been a pretty messed up year for a lot, man. And we're going through a lot right now, all of us. So, let's just see, man. We're going to experiment October 17th. If it looks good, it sounds good, everybody's safe, then I think we'll do it again. And maybe, when we get another big fight, when we get the big guy Tyson Fury back in, maybe we can expand and put a couple thousand in the arena.
Definitely going to have to, man, because that they're either way they're coming. They're going to show up. They're going to be around there, man. His support system is just off the hook, man. It reminds me of Conor McGregor. It's just wherever he's at, they show up, man. And when I say they, I'm talking about his countrymen, man. The support, and not only that, the Americans here. We've adopted him, man. He's one of ours. So I like it when he's in the States, man. He's exactly what the sport of boxing needed and needs, and we appreciate exactly where he's at in this part in his career, especially what he's overcome.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's absolutely, it's true. 1,000,000%.
Hey, well, Sean Gibbons told me to tell you this. He said, you know what, I don't got too much of a comment for him, but just tell him I said he's a nice guy, man, and I appreciate his laughter, and he's always full of smiles and always gives us a hand whenever needed. Sean Gibbons.
Sean Gibbons is one of the best, dude. Sean Gibbons, man, you know, that guy walks into a room, he brings positive energy, great dude, one of the, like, best all-around guys in boxing, period, man. That guy, guess what? That guy's seen it all, the good and the bad. And he still maintains, when talk about a guy who always has a smile and is always in good spirits, that's Sean Gibbons. One of the best.
I agree with you, man. Hey, I want to ask you this. And I wanted to ask you because I was looking through your profile today, man. I mean, you met the who's who is not only in boxing, but MMA, in the rap industry. I got to ask you, man, what was it like meeting Suge Knight?
Oh yeah, wow, Suge Knight. That was weird. That was cool, bro. I mean, like, we go back to the '90s. We go back to my era. I was a big fan of Death Row records, and Tupac and Snoop and Dr. Dre. And one day I was at a boxing show, and somebody told me that, hey, Suge Knight's here. And I was like, what the hell is Suge Knight doing there? And then eventually I found out he lived in Vegas and all that type of shit. So I went there, and, you know, I introduced myself, and it was a brief conversation. I mean, all I basically did, Rich, was ask for a picture for him. But then I go to find out he has managed fighters in the past. So, you know, real cool. I mean, I think he's in jail for life currently at the moment. So obviously that didn't, him being involved in boxing didn't keep him out of trouble. But, you know, it was cool. For me, it was cool. For me, it was surreal. It's one of the best things about boxing is meeting some of these people, is meeting celebrities and just some of these people. You know, I think everybody likes boxing.
I mean, was there like an aura around him, man? I mean, I'm asking this because they're asking right now.
I mean,
did you feel anything? Did you feel like a reverence, like a respect, a fear, or like, oh man, that's the guy from Death Row? I mean, what was your reaction when you went up to him? Just a normal feeling, huh?
Yeah, listen, look, at the end of the day, I just, you know, if I was a fan of somebody, like watching on television or music-wise or whatnot, I could go up to them and I can, you know, at the end of the day, we're all men. We're all human beings, men,
right.
Women. That's all we are. So it's a little hard for me to get starstruck these days, Rich. I couldn't tell you if I walked in a room, who would I be, if someone was in a room, who would make me the most starstruck or whatever. I don't think that's there. I think, like, just being in this industry, you meet a ton of celebrities, and that's, you know, it kind of wears off. You know, I met so many people that I watched as a kid or just admired from the entertainment industry. That's just like, yeah, all right, cool. You know, you'll see somebody, you know, you see an NBA player and you're like, damn, he's tall as shit. You know what I mean? Maybe that's the value of what you'll get from me, but nothing where I got to go, oh, hey, so-and-so, can I get your autograph? You know what I mean? It's nothing like that.
Right on, man. Hey, well, you know what?
And that was Suge Knight, too, as well. So.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, definitely, you know, I appreciate Lee Samuels tuning in. He is a fan and supporter, man. He's asking, he wants this for you, Crawford or Spence? Who do you have? And how do you see this fight going?
Terrence Crawford by stoppage. I think even before what's his name's accident, Errol Spence's accident, it was. I always had Terrence Crawford winning, but I think Terrence Crawford has the ability to stop Errol Spence. I can't really give you a round, but it's. I don't know. I just think Crawford's just a special fighter, man. He's just the type of guy. He takes a little bit of time. It only takes him 2 or 3 rounds to figure out his opponent, and then he begins to dissect those guys. So I think that'll be the same thing with Errol Spence. I've seen as a fan, you know, and I sometimes like this. I'm no expert like that. Obviously I'm not a fighter, so I don't see what professional fighters see. But I hate to even say that. I hope I'm not meaning any disrespect with this, but I look at boxing like I'm playing a video game. You know, if you're playing, say you're playing Fight Night, and you get two guys, you got Errol Spence and you got Terrence Crawford. So I would say, what character would I pick? What character do I think has enough ability and characteristics to beat the other guy? And that's how I look at Terrence Crawford. I've seen some kinks in Errol Spence's armor. I've seen some flaws in his game that I know that Terrence Crawford could expose. And if you were to ask me who wins that fight, it's that. Now, if you were to say, you know, and obviously it's a top rank versus a PBC guy.
Yeah.
But if you were to say, like, if it was Crawford and Manny Pacquiao, I would favor Crawford over Pacquiao, but I think Pacquiao's style would give Crawford a lot of trouble, and it's a lot tougher fight. Even though both guys are southpaws, Spence and Pacquiao, I think Pacquiao, just his style would give Crawford a ton of trouble, and it would be a very close fight.
Well, since we're talking about Manny Pacquiao, man, it's short of being announced, but I mean, there's rumors, there's speculation, and I remember I talked to Mikey, I want to say about maybe 3 months ago, and we talked about that fight happening, how Sean Gibbons was 100% supporting that thought and knowing that would be a great fight. I'm just waiting for it to be announced, and if it is announced, and if they do match up, who do you have and why? And I'm talking about Mikey Garcia and Manny Pacquiao.
It's another great fight. Mikey Garcia, you know, is one of the best fighters that's in the game today. But you know what, man? If you go back and watch what Manny Pacquiao did to Keith Thurman, I think he could do a similar job to Mikey Garcia. And I'm not taking nothing from Mikey Garcia. It's a great fight. I think it's going to go close. But you know, if you want my honest pick, or you want my honest opinion on who wins that fight, I like Manny Pacquiao in that fight.
By decision, distance, or how
decision. I don't think anybody stops Mikey Garcia unless Mikey Garcia decides to be real courageous and go up to heavyweight, and somebody will stop him. But Mikey Garcia is too smart. I think he does pretty well with Pacquiao, but loses a tight decision.
You know, that fight is announced. That's going to be a very tough fight, and that's going to be an interesting fight for me. And I'll go out on the record, and I'll say that fight's going to end up in a draw. The reason I say that is because I'm cool with Robert and Mikey, and I'm cool with Sean and what Manny Pacquiao did for me and a video for my son. I mean, how can you root for one over the other? And they're actually in my top fighters anyways, along with Jose Ramirez. And I do want to talk more about Jose Ramirez as well. He had mentioned that he was willing to go down to the UK and take that fight with Josh Taylor, because he was the first fighter to admit on national TV that I do miss the live crowd there, that yes, it did affect me. I wasn't able to, I'm used to the live crowd, and it affected my performance. It affected the way I was moving around in the ring, etc. A lot of fighters, say, oh, it's just a sparring match. That's why I felt it didn't affect me whatsoever. Jose Ramirez said he's more than willing to go down to the UK. Do you see a different result if he goes down to the UK as opposed to it possibly happening here in the bubble MGM Grand?
That's the crazy thing. So, like, even Jose was really hard on himself.
Yeah.
Listen, Victor Postal is a tough SOB, man. Nobody's going to have an easy outing with him. Ask the guys that beat him before Jose, Terrence Crawford and Josh Taylor. Was definitely not an easy outing. So, you go to fight Victor Postal, be ready for 12 grueling rounds. So let's just stop that there. Jose Ramirez, a lot of people go, oh, he's Fresno, man. You get it. You fight him in Fresno, you're at a disadvantage. Well, ask Jose Zepeda that. A lot of people said Jose Zepeda probably won that fight. I thought that was a close fight. I thought it could have been a draw. And I obviously favored Jose Ramirez slightly in that bout, but I wouldn't be shocked if they had given it to Jose Zepeda, and that's why Jose Zepeda is probably the most dangerous guy at 140 right now, not with a world title. So going into Jose going over to fight Josh Taylor in the UK, look at Jose's past going into someone else's hometown. For instance, look at him when he went to fight Maurice Hooker in Dallas, Texas. He went in there in a sold-out crowd and went and friggin' did the job. He stopped Maurice Hooker. I don't think I don't think it matters to Jose. Too many people think Jose's comfortable and he's baby because he's kept in Fresno more. No, he's the biggest draw in the United States. And that's why you fight him in Fresno. You got a raucous, passionate crowd in Fresno, one of my favorite places to go. And you got one of the best fighters on the planet in Jose Ramirez. It's a winning recipe. Why send him to New York where, he's popular and people are going to come out to see him, but you're not going to get that atmosphere as you are in Fresno. And it's the same thing if you do it in Scotland in Josh Taylor's backyard.
Yeah.
Jose's bringing the heat, bro. Jose's well aware on what it's like to have a home field advantage. It's the guys that don't know what it's like to have home turf advantage. Jose knows very well mentally, bro. He's a strategist. He'll go into Scotland, the UK, wherever, and I think you'll see him fight better there than you would in Las Vegas, or you would in Los Angeles, or you would at Madison Square Garden. There's two places Jose Ramirez. There's only one place Jose Ramirez shines, bro, and that's in the boxing ring. I don't think it matters where it's at, what city, what country, what continent, wherever.
Very well said, man. Very well said. Well, that answered that question there. Now listen. If you were able to play matchmaker right now, what would be the next fight for Semper Fi Jamal Herring? Who would you match him up against?
You can only match this guy up with the top, bro. The rest of the guys in the division. Obviously, we're all linking them to what's his name, Carl Frampton.
Yeah.
And obviously, we got to see that fight. We've been talking about it. A lot of people want to see that fight. 130 is another division that I think is. I mean, it's obviously stacked, but I think it's on the verge of becoming the hottest division in boxing eventually, as long as some of these guys continue doing what they're doing, and hopefully a lot of them don't move up and leave. There's some interesting fights, but look, let him fight Frampton first, and then he fights the winner of Burchelt and Oscar Valdez. And I think you get a unification out of that. There's one more world champion at 130. Well, unless you consider the WBA. Oh, actually, no. There's two more. There's Burchelt, the WBC, and Leo Santa Cruz, Jojo Diaz, and Jamel Herring. So I'd say Burchelt and Herring is the fight that has to be made. Should both of those guys get past their expected upcoming challenges? Herring with Frampton and Burchelt with Valdez.
You know what?
And then let them see it. But yeah, and one more thing with Jamel Herring.
Yeah.
A super stand-up guy, bro. A guy that, a ton of integrity, will always have my respect. And it's not just, he's a fellow serviceman. He's, if you're around him, just a guy that brings good energy and positivity everywhere he's at, man. So, no, definitely my hat's off to Jamel Herring.
I agree with you 100% on his personality and the opportunities that he has out there. I was about to say that, Frank, because you paused when you said the WBA, and and now we're just giving bouts out just to give them like they're holding up our pants. So let's get down to the bottom of this, and I'm glad you're exactly where you need to be right now, because this was the next topic, man. There's too many bouts out there. What can we do to utilize the top fighters? And, try to unify them, or only give out one bout? Who do you recognize as the bout owner? I mean, is it the Ring, the WBA, the WBC, the IBO, the IBF?
I guess you could say the Ring, but these guys got to do what Teofimo Lopez and Vasily Lomachenko are doing. They got to do what Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor are going to eventually do.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you got to unify, man. There's too many belts, man. The WBA, I mean, credit to them, man. It's always cool to have a young fighter win a title and stuff like that. But the WBA, man, they got the regular, the super, the gold champion. I mean, look, I understand boxing is a business and we got to make money, and these fighters want to be recognized as champions.
Yeah.
But eventually we got to do it the right way. I don't mind. Look, man, I don't mind that there's 4 titles out there, But once there's 4 champions standing there, let's start the unification process. And then guess what? Once there's an undisputed champion, if they decide they want to stay there and defend, then then good for them. But eventually, you become undisputed. You move up to the next weight class. Unless you're heavyweight, there's nowhere for you to move up. But you look at Josh Taylor and Jose Ramirez. Both guys had said after they become undisputed, they're moving up. They're moving up to welterweight.
Yeah,
which I think is a smart move.
Absolutely. I mean, say Teofimo Lopez shocks the world. He's not going to defend back at 135s. He's moving up to 140s. I mean, you're talking about a naturally strong, a big man. Big boy. I mean, his shoulders, I mean, he's a big 135-pounder. So I think it's the right move in both their cases. Josh Taylor and Jose Ramirez, the winner moves up, and if Lomachenko gets defeated, with Lopez wanting to move up. When do you think they stay down too long? To unify, or should they just follow their body and listen to their team and move up? What's your take on that, Frank? Frank, did I lose you? I know I was just joking about the belts, man. I didn't say take your pants off and, you take the belt off and your pants fall down. I think we might have lost Frank. Let me give Frank a call again. Let me remind you, ladies and gentlemen, he is live in the bubble. So I think there's trouble in the bubble at the MGM Grand. Trouble in the bubble. I like that. I'm going to keep that. I'm going to hashtag that.
You have reached the voice.
Well, we'll try one more time for the fans and the followers because we had a good conversation. And then if not, then I'll just wind it down and give you my take on some of these fights coming up. Maybe there's too much pressure in that bubble, KP. There's no air, oxygen. It's cutting off the cell phones now. You know what? I know what I'm going to do right now. Shelly Hollis from Stockton, California. I'm going to put him on the fighter's voice right now. And this is what we do. See, he didn't even know he's getting a phone call. So let's find out. This should be a part of our segment. We're just going to call people randomly. Don't even ask them, don't even talk to them, no warning, no nothing. Come on, Shelly, answer. Here's your opportunity, my man. Okay, another one. We're going to call promoter Ernie Jaimes right now. He's probably watching the show and saying, don't call me. Let him tell the truth to the whole world. Put him on the hot seat.
What's up, Rich?
Hey, man, just to give you some advice, man, I had, just to give you some warning, I had Frank Stea on the fighter's voice, and his call dropped live in the bubble, and we were talking about too many bouts in the sport of boxing. Hey, you're going to be my guest for the last 2 minutes, man. Ernie, I want to ask you, we have the existing WBA, we got the WBC, the IBF, and the WBO. When is too many bouts enough? And we also even got the Ring magazine recognizing a fighter. What can we do? What could we do to just call one person the champion if we can't get these fighters and networks to cooperate to unify? How can we distinguish which is the real champion out there, Ernie?
Well, you know what? It's funny you say that, man, because I remember watching the fights, man, with my pops, and it was back in the day. It was only IBF, WBC as the majority of the belts. Then now it's Alphabet City. You have too many, and I get it. People, different belts, different sanctioned bodies want a little bit. They want a little bit of the action. But as the casual fan, as a fan in general, hey, they're getting tired of it. They're getting, hey, what's this guy's? He's going for the belt, and who is he? Or I know a lot of the, I believe it's the WBA. They're getting a bad rap because they're putting people. They fight once in 3 years, and they're already a mandatory. So, and that's what the public, they don't want that. They want something where it's solid, and just give the fans and what they want to see.
Speaking of giving the fans exactly what they want to see, us as fans and followers and supporters, man, we're going to get exactly what we want to see. And we're talking about Teofimo Lopez and Lomachenko. It's finally going to happen. They're going to get it on. They're going to share the ring. Who do you have winning this fight and why? And what can the fans expect from both gentlemen?
Man, I'm counting the days, Rich. I'm counting the days, man, till next, not this Saturday, but next Saturday. You know, going into the fight, I thought, you know, maybe 50-50. But as I'm looking more deep into the fighters, I'm going to go with Loma. I'm going to go with Loma I think it's going to go 12, but okay. I think Loma's going to edge him, and I think it's going to be a unanimous decision.
Okay, man. Hey, I appreciate your feedback. Our guest is calling right back, man. It's always good to know
brother.
that we can go to the bullpen. I'll talk to you later, my man.
Okay, thank you.
Frank, my man, are you there? Hello, Frank?
Yeah, Rich. Sorry, man. I don't know what happened.
Hey, man, you know what? I just called it big trouble in the bubble, my man.
Yeah, bro, it's bad. It's bad, man. I don't know where the reception got dropped there, but I was trying to call you back and getting to no avail, basically.
Ain't no problem, man. The fighter's voice. Once we're ever up against the ropes, we went to the bullpen, man. I called a buddy and I got his take. Ernie Jaime is from Fresno, California, promoter, and I asked him for his take on Teofimo and Lomachenko, and lo and behold, he had Lomachenko by a 12-round decision.
It wouldn't be the first time I've heard that, to be honest with you. And hey, listen, man, I respect his opinion, and I'm in no position to criticize another man's opinion. If that's where he is, that's what makes this fight so fucking great, man. This is what people are excited about this fight for, man. A lot of people don't see that the young gunner and Teofimo Lopez is ready for it. But, you know, this is just something we're all going to find out next Saturday.
Only on Top Rank Boxing ESPN Live, my man. I mean, none of this pre-recorded stuff. None of this, hey, I'm going to get a box or give me the app, give me the stream. You tune in and you're going to be in tuned for one of the biggest fights in boxing history, the most anticipated fights, because one star will lose the opportunity and there'll be another star that arises or continues to shine, man.
No, I agree, bro. It's going to be fucking. It's a fight. Trust me, man. I don't think. I don't think there's a boxing fan that's going to want to miss this fight.
No, man, there's not. I mean, I can see people, they're invited to a quinceañera or something, man, and they're just not going to show up. Or they're the best man at the wedding, and they're just not going to. They're going to exit stage right. They're not going to show up. How can you plan something on this Saturday when two undefeated? Well, I mean, they still think that he's undefeated, even though he got that one loss, his second loss or what have you with Lomachenko. But until he redeems it. But we're talking about a big blockbuster fight, man. I mean, I can't say enough to help promote it. It is what it is. It's going to happen. It's basically ready or not. Here we come. You're going to have Frank there. Stea, he's going to be there. Bob Arum's going to be there. Lee Samuel's going to be there. Christina Potter's going to be there. Timothy Bradley's going to be there. Everybody that's involved in the sport of boxing is going to wish they're going to be there, or they're just somehow going to make it there. MGM Grand Las Vegas.
Look, man, if you could be there, be there. Trust me, it's going to be an event.
Hey, man, before I let you go, I got to ask you, do you have any more of those throwback old shirts you said you were going to look into, man, when you first started your business, when it was popping, man, back in the day when you had the apparel going?
I do. I got some old ones, bro. They're in a box in my garage. They're not. I don't have like brand new ones, but they're a little dusty and stuff like that. But if you're willing to accept, a vintage one, then I'd be willing to hand it over. Maybe you can cut the sleeves off of it or something to make it look newer or something like that. But yeah, I got one, Rich. And guess what? The next time you and I are in the same vicinity, bro, I'm going to make sure I hand it to you. You asking for it, you remembering it from the last time we spoke, bro. I'm gonna get you one. It's not that great, but just maybe you'll get a good chuckle out of it.
Hey man, iron sharpens iron, man, and we got to sharpen each other, man. I mean, we ain't that far away or so different from each other.
I still have mine as the Fighter's Voice shirt that you given me a couple years ago. I still have it, bro. I still wear it. I have a ton of That's the one great thing about boxing, bro. Is the swag you come across. And I'll never forget. I forget where we were when you gave it to me, but I'll never forget that you did give it to me, and I wore that shirt with pride many times.
Well, I appreciate that, man. And you know what? You always bring the show excitement. You always bring the show entertainment, man. And you keep it real. You keep the fans in tune, laughing, chuckling, supporting. And they all want your dream job, Frank, but they don't know exactly what you go through, my man. I mean, they think it's all, just nice and dandy, of course, man. But you work your ass off. You do your research. You enjoy what you're doing. And like they say, man, you love what you do. You never work a day in your life.
And Rich, that's true, man. It's if you got to be a boxing fan, or you have to be a professional, man. But the great thing is I'm a fan first, and I appreciate and enjoy every aspect of this game, especially the people. You run into guys like yourself, and what a joy it is to know you, Rich, and I really. I mean, for me personally, I appreciate what you do. I appreciate what you do for the fighters, what you do for the sport, and just the way that you stay dedicated and you're constantly working and you're improving. And I listen, bro, I could see, like, when you first really started getting, your feet wet in this to where you've become now, bro. You really, like, come a long way, and you could tell your work has gone from good and potentially, to potentially be good to, bro, you're like a razor right now, bro. You're sharp with it. And, I know the fighters appreciate you, man, because you do. This is the fighter's voice, man. You give guys an opportunity to come on here and say what's on their mind and give them the real. And for you to be as energetic as you are and to be enthusiastic with everything, man, listen, big things are going to come for you. You just have to keep on friggin' going. Keep loving this. It's frustrating, bro. It's all this shit. It's frustrating. Don't get me wrong, man. You could be up and down with this shit. But I promise you, it pays off. It'll pay off in the end, and you'll find yourself in a position that you dreamed of getting into, and then you're going to be just as frustrated in that position until you get to the next position. I mean, that's all about God's plan, bro. He puts us in these situations, these roadblocks, these bumps in the road, because he knows we can get through them. But it isn't going to be easy, and you just got to have that strong work ethic, and you have that, Rich. And just from me personally, I appreciate what you do for the fighters, just everybody involved in boxing and mixed martial arts, bro. You're really doing a good thing here, and I wish you the continued success, and you'll always have my support.
Hey, man, I appreciate those kind words, man. I really do. It goes a long way with you. After the compliments like that, man, I'm going to have you on every Tuesday from now on, man. I'm just going to make sure that you're on all the time. No, Frank, I do appreciate the words that come out of your mouth, man, and I know you do mean it. I've talked to you before over and over again, but I got to have you on, man, even if it's quarterly, man, to update us, and I appreciate your real talk, your energy, and just the fact that you're willing and wanting to sit down with the fighter's voice and let all the followers know, man, that big fights are in store. They're happening. These fighters are taking the opportunities. They're running with it. And at the same time, man, they are a human being when they're outside of the ring. And that's the part that I love that you share, man, that you're open to say, you know what, Rich, when I see two guys really, really go at it and that I know them personally, it's very difficult for you to swallow, to watch it. But being the professional you are, you know you got to continue to go forward and support both the winner and the loser. And you're doing a fine job and a great job. And I'm sure Top Rank, they know exactly what they have with the addition of you on their team. And I can see your role expanding and growing. So Evan needs to make some room, man, and make some room in the office next door for you, my man.
Oh no, man! Evan's the best in the business.
Yes, he is.
Evan, man, you get on the wrong side of Evan, man. That dude will fucking decapitate you. Listen, Evan's the man, bro.
Yeah.
Evan doesn't need to make room. Evan's doing his thing. We're a team. Anytime Evan needs my assistance and vice versa, bro, we got each other's back. And,
yeah.
And I want to give a shout out to Evan Korn, man.
Absolutely.
He does his thing. He works hard, and he's passionate about what he does. And he's a boxing fan, man, and it's a pleasure to get to work with guys like him, Lee Samuels, Mikey Williams. I don't want to name everybody, but these are just so many great people within Top Rank, dude. It makes this job worth coming to and waking up every day and doing.
No, I agree with you. And just to let you know, we got Evan booked for the end of the month here on the Fighter's Voice. And I do want to give a shout out to Mikey Williams, man. I mean, his work gets overlooked. A lot of people, I mean, as fans, we take it for granted. But when we can't be there, we're actually there through his art. I mean, his pictures. He's able to catch those moments and just, I mean, second to none, man. He's doing a great job for Top Rank and photography. And, yeah, big shout out to Mikey Williams, man.
Best in the business.
Absolutely. Hey, well, listen, I'm going to let you go. I appreciate your time, man. It's always a treat having you on the show. Again, I appreciate your input, your experience, and those kind words that you dropped. And I love the fact that you're not afraid to pick a fighter when need be. A lot of them would take the higher road and say, I'll decide later, or they're both top rank fighters. But you let the fans and the followers know that what comes out of your mouth is 100% real. I appreciate that. And that's why I'm looking forward to having you back. Have a good evening, man. This is Rich Ortiz, the Fighter's Voice, the only voice that matters. And like my man here, Frank, we're simply knocking out the competition. It's a wrap here in Fresno, California. Thumbs up for Richie.
Never down for the count. It's just another wrap. Thanks for listening to the Fighter's Voice Radio Show. Catch us again next week.
Same when, same how.
And always stay connected to the Fighter's Voice on social media. So, on behalf of special guests and the whole crew right here at the Fighter's Voice Radio Show, saying see ya next week, right here on the Fighter's Voice.